All right.
That will bring the most return um, on Airbnb. So we use some machine learning, but also there's a great service out there called AirDNA. If you guys are interested in short-term rentals, I don't know if anyone's familiar with it, but AirDNAs, you can just enter in the address and it'll give you a rough estimate where it is. And typically it's on the low side, so you can actually expect to do more. So these are some of the tools we're using to search. I actually went to Tahoe quite a bit to search that. You do have to kind of have boots on the ground. So had a lot of excuses to go to Tahoe. But I do want to call out a few other kind of hacks here, or unlocks, if you will. One of which is really good company I want to give a shout out to is Fly Homes. If you're not familiar with Fly Homes, they're basically allow you to do all cash offers in California, Portland, or sorry, Oregon, Washington, a few other states. And so when you do an all cash offer, you're just incredibly more competitive because there's no more contingencies, right? There's no appraiser contingency. There's basically just the inspection contingency, but it's almost a done deal. So buyers love all cash offers. So we had put quite a few offers in Tahoe and we kept getting beat out on conventional loans, but Fly Homes will allow you to do a cash offer and then flip it over into a conventional loan on the back end. So our offer for our Tahoe house was actually not the highest offer. It was substantially lower than the other offers on the table, but they did choose ours because it was an all cash offer. So I'd recommend, if you guys are thinking about buying California or on the Pacific Coast, check out Fly Homes. They're a good company to work with. And they can also really make your offer that much more competitive in a really tight market like we're seeing right now. So what happened? I bought the house. We got the house. Now it was almost turnkey. It's a beautiful house, and I can maybe show you a quick video as well. But there was some renovation to do, and that's honestly where you can make the most return, right? Like you can definitely, especially if you do it right. So there's kind of two major issues with the house. One of which is the garage, which you see here on the left, was really gross. And actually, this was cleaned up from when I got it. So it was it's actually been improved significantly from this photo. But you'll notice these shelves are up here. It wasn't insulated. There's concrete on the floor, just a lot of funky stuff there. And really, you walk in a house in an Airbnb, maybe you'll be okay with a garage, but you just don't want a gross spot in the house, or maybe where even someone could get hurt if they're wandering back there. So you want to make sure the house is safe, and the garage was an issue that we knew we had to address right away. On the right hand side, the deck stairs were also an issue, safety issue. And then the railing here were not up to code. They have to be 4 inches in the state of California, or else kids can get their heads stuck in there. So they'll come with like a metal ball, and they'll try to fit it through different parts of the deck to make sure that no one can get their head stuck in there. So those are two big issues with the house that we wanted to address right away. And so we were left with some options. We talked to a bunch of contractors, and even right now, contractors are really expensive. They want really big jobs that are long term. And so they don't really want to. We got quoted 70,000, which honestly was a fair amount for what we were trying to do in just kind of those 2 projects. And so we kind of looked at, if we did it ourselves, it was only 20,000. And one thing we can call out here that Jimmy was going to speak on is the BRRRR strategy. So, if you actually come in, and the BRRRR strategy is a great strategy if you guys aren't familiar with it, but it's basically buy, renovate, rehab, rent, or something. So basically it's a way to hack it. And I'll kind of leave Jimmy to speak to that because he's a little bit more of an expert. So maybe on another talk.
It's a buy,
Thank you.
rehab, refinance, repeat.
Exactly. And so it's a great way to kind of get that money back out of your house. And that's the real challenge. Real estate's a great place to invest money. It's a great place. It's going to beat inflation. The biggest challenge with real estate investing, and it's actually something we're trying to fix with Cloud Castles, is that you can't get your money back that quickly. So if I put in my $70K into getting the house done, or I put down my 20%, it's going to be a while before you see that 20% back. It's going to be safe in the house. Typically, it's a pretty stable asset, but it's going to take a while to get your 20% back. So I'll talk about how we can also get our money out of the house and what we did in this Cloud Castle scenario. But right now we decided to actually do the DIY approach because, as I mentioned before, I have some history working on houses. It's kind of nostalgic for me, and I had plenty of time during quarantine. So we actually did renovate this. It was just a month or two, just working part-time, so it wasn't too bad. So we did the walls here, and you'll notice that we took out the shelf out of the top. We just ripped that out, and I actually turned it into a little bar. So I repurposed this, which was a fun project, turned it into a little bar, which you'll see a little bit. And then You'll notice here on the floor it looks like wood, but it's actually not wood. It's actually they're called snap lock panels flooring, and they're great for garages because they're a little bit off the ground, and they're actually meant for showrooms. So, and the reason why it's good to be a little bit off the ground is because it's a Tahoe garage, right? So it's going to be a little cold in there. So if you're off the ground, you're going to have better insulation. And so they're actually meant for showrooms. They're pretty affordable. I think the whole thing was like 2,000 for the flooring, and it only takes a day to set up. So you just snap them in place, and they're coded for garages. They're meant for garages. So it was we knew we wanted to do something fun here. You know, really take the worst part of the house and make it into the best part of the house, or high end part of the house. Well, so we really want to make this cool space here. You'll notice Roscoe on the right hand side working pretty hard as he does. But as we keep going, you'll start to see the kind of the room come alive. And here we actually turn into this garage, which you saw before as being really kind of gross, to a really fun spot. So this is actually a bar back here. And then it's the movie theater. You can see obviously a pool table, and actually installed this fireplace. And this is some faux stone. So it was kind of like and one thing about COVID and what we try to do with all our properties is actually, if we can, is actually put a bar directly into the house. Because if you think about it, especially during COVID, people don't really want to go out. They don't need to. And really, when you go on a trip, you're usually just there to be with the people that you love and be with the people that you're hanging out with. So we actually just try to put bars into all of our houses that we have. And this is one example we did right here. And it's actually called Roscoe's Bar. And then I also finished these steps as well. So what happens now? We have a house. It seems like it's kind of ready to go. And so we need to get on Airbnb and start getting kind of our return back. And so what we do is, there's quite a few tools. There's Airbnb, and 900-pound gorilla in the room, which is where we get most of our money. VRBO, we are on there, but I think we've only had a few listings. It's pretty slight. But Airbnb, you're going to have a ton of views, especially if you're in a good market like Lake Tahoe. And there are actually a ton of great articles about different parts of the country that have a wonderful, phenomenal return. Like the Smoky Mountains is one where it's just kind of insane. You can get like a 4-bedroom house for 300,000 and the thing's rented out all year round. One of the most visited national parks in the U.S. is Smoky Mountains. So there's lots of good places but Tahoe is a great market for Airbnb. Beyond Pricing is another company and asset that we use. And what they do is they actually do price prediction for Airbnb. So you come to the Airbnb platform and they say, hey, what do you want tomorrow? What do you want it to be? What do you want this Saturday to be? What do you want, this upcoming June? What do you want those prices to be? And so we actually pay this company called Beyond Pricing that uses, software and machine learning to basically predict what is the best price that house can be to optimize your revenue. And they're really good and they're really cheap. I think it's like $100 a month, maybe $150 a month. I think it's maybe 1% of profits or something, pretty small. But they're really good at setting this dynamic pricing based on maybe an event that's happening. Maybe the seasonality is a huge part of it. With the Tahoe market, there's going to be two peak seasons. So January is one peak season typically, and then the other peak season is July. And actually July is the busiest time of the year. But in between that, you do have to lower the prices a little bit. And so having a Beyond Pricing tool is super effective in making sure that you're getting the most bang for your buck out of the house. And there's also a really cool kind of checklist called B&B Formula, where there's just great things, little things you can do that make people have a great experience at the house and just have a really unique experience. We typically try to leave a very cheap bottle of red wine or champagne, that just, thank you for joining the house. We do have kind of all the Hulu and Netflix hooked up, and HBO, I think it was. And then obviously we had some amenities like a hot tub it was installed there for relatively cheap. So lots of different tools here that were really effective in helping us optimize price. And then the team, right? So, so with this Tahoe house, I think I spend about, since Jimmy usually does the property management side. So I was a little worried when, paternity leave happens and he's off, and I was like, oh gosh, how am I going to handle this? But I spend probably about 20 minutes a week dealing with customers or direct Airbnb guests. Like someone might ask you a strange question, like, do you have a potato grater in your house? And you say, I don't know, I have to check. But or they'll ask you how far away something is from something else. But that's all really I do, and the rest is just completely automated. So a few things that are worth calling out if you want to get some cash flow here is just do not skimp on the photographer. The photographer is key. We had drone footage. We had a really good photographer. We did nothing but real estate photography. So he was just a professional, came in with be able to make the room look beautiful and the place look amazing. So, and he waited for the right day too. You got to wait for just the snow's right when they got fresh snow. And so all the photos are really good. So always, if you're going to have an Airbnb listing, always make sure you have a great photographer or one that's really proven. And I would not skimp on that because that is the best ROI you're going to get. The next one's a great handyman. We have a few in rotation and they're super responsive and we love working with them. You know, something happens, toilet's got to be replaced. Somebody accidentally puts a hole in something, you know, and having a great handyman in the area is going to save you a ton of stress. So if anything happens, the cleaning crew though is really the foundation. So we've actually been through 3 different maid services and none of them were bad, but we just found one team that's just amazing. They can always clean it to perfection, and cleanliness is the number one reason people get bad reviews is because the place is dirty. So this cleaning crew is great. They alert us to anything. They let us know if a guest was bad or good, or they let us know if something's broken, and basically reach out to the handyman. And they're worth every penny we spend. And they're actually kind of in a way making us money because the actual cleaning fee is a little bit more. What we charge our customers is a little bit more than what we actually charge the crew. So having a great cleaning crew is going to, you know, just make your life so much easier. And just having those kind of 3 folks there really minimizes your time from, you know, if you were doing this all yourself, you'd be spending hours a week to just 20 minutes a week. And that's another thing we can kind of talk about as we try to scale this. But the last thing that's super important is you want to make sure you're doing everything by the book. So we do have an LLC in the state of California, and we are very close with the VHR Permanent Administration. They're funny folks sometimes, like they'll kind of say contrasting things, and you have to like kind of be like, hey, you know, someone else from your department said this, and you know, so but we have a really good relationship with them, and we'll make sure we follow everything to the T and are very responsive for, you know, any kind of codes they have or any of that. But having a good relationship with the permit office is what you want to do. And if you're going to do an Airbnb, it's highly recommend you go to a market that has some sort of permitting issue, because if it has something, that's good. You can work with those. But if they have nothing, then they can come in and impose a ban on Airbnbs, you know, without it. So it's good to have some kind of framework in place and some, you know, check off from government agencies that you're doing the right thing. So we do have a good relationship with them. But let's talk money. You know, I threw a lot at you. We did renovate the house and we got the house going. Typically, this is what we put down: $71K over the course of maybe 4 months. So, you know, it's pretty penny, but it's reasonable for someone to actually put this money in. But how much are we actually return? What's the actual numbers on the return? That's where it starts to get very interesting, because we've actually made 40,000 bookings earned for 2021. So that's pretty good. We don't have all our money back yet though. So, and that's actually where the Cloud Castle portion comes in. And this is the photos of the Airbnb. You'll notice it does say Roscoe's Bar for my dog. And we did some of the lighting here, you'll see. And there's some also great pictures with a fire pit. A fire pit's a great amenity. Okay, it's like $150, and you just throw a fire pit in somewhere safe, and it's a great thing for the photos. But how do we get all of our money back? So that's actually where Cloud Castle gets a little bit more interesting. And what we've actually gotten from Cloud Castle is 82,000, and we maintain 65% ownership. So what does that mean? So what we do at Cloud Castles is we're actually a platform for connecting real estate investors, or just, you know, average user, with a real estate developer, really, which is what we are in this case for this particular tile house. So it's a way for folks who put their short-term rentals on, or really any properties, but mostly short-term rentals we're focused on now, basically a way for them to minimize risk and basically pass some of the equity onto a crowd sharing platform. So, and then getting all that money up front. So basically what they're doing is they're paying for our Airbnb profit for the next, you know, 5 years. They're basically paying that up front for us. And so that's how we're able to actually get more money in a very short amount of time, because the house was listed on Airbnb in January, and now we're sitting with more cash than when we started with for the property. So how does it actually work? Sorry. This might be a good segue to actually show. Yeah. Bear with me. Okay. So I'm going to pull up the app right now. It's been in the App Store for a few months. And let me share my screen. And we'll walk through how actually you can buy a house. And so what's interesting about this app is that we are essentially doing everything I did and going to the property. You're basically owning a portion of the property with just a few clicks. So I'm going to jump into the app right here. And so we do only have one platform, one house on the platform right currently. It's only been in production for the last since January, but I have my returns here. And here's the Tahoe property you saw. We actually do have a video of it here as well. And this was the drone photographer, did a great job. And so what you can do in this app is basically the house is owned by an LLC. And so what we do with our users is when you buy a portion, or we call it a share of the house, you're actually buying a portion of the LLC that owns the property. So what we're trying to do is take this relatively hard process of onboarding a house, finding a great house, onboarding it, making a good experience, making it cash flow positive, and then selling that off to users that can just jump in here and invest very quickly. So this is the property. It's 3 bedrooms, nice fireplace. And so when you're ready to go, you can also, there's a little bit of like fun kind of Easter eggs in there. We'll probably redo some of this, but you can see exactly how much if for example, the house made 112 and you put in 20,000 or so, you're going to make about 6,000 a return per year. So it kind of just show you what it's going to do. Also, one thing that's not noted in this version, but you actually do get appreciation of the home. So let's say the average home will double in value over 10 years. So if we sell a house in 2030, then we're effectively double, the house is double in value, and you're actually going to get that back as an investor here on the app. But so what happens when you buy, you come in, you choose how many shares you want, you click invest, you want to purchase that cloud castle. I think this user actually test device. But essentially, that's the point. You just bought a portion of the house, and we do need to track if you're accredited or not. That's an important thing, legal aspect. You can learn what that is in here. And then I'll jump in, and you have the paperwork, and this is the full summary, basically a PPM. And then we're actually writing the paperwork, and then we send our users a K1 at the end of the year. So K1 is typical real estate. So according to the IRS, you do own an investment property, or at least a share of an investment property. And you can choose how you like to actually get would you prefer discounted shares? Would you prefer cash back? Or would you prefer discounted stays? So you can basically choose whatever you want. Most folks do opt for cash back. And away you go. And so now I own 19 shares of the home and about $285 in value. And it's basically pays out every month. I wanted them to pay out every week, but we pay out every month to keep our account sane. So that's how the app works. And what we're planning on doing is basically, what we're doing right now is basically reaching out to folks who have a property and frankly want to potentially onboard onto the platform. So we are a property management company at the end of the day, so we would manage the property for folks, but if they want to self-manage, that's fine as well. But the idea here is you can onboard a house onto the property and then have folks buy out of it and essentially get your cash back. And now how much of the equity you're going to put on the house is up to you. But some folks we talk to want to just do maybe 10 or 20% of the equity of the house and just get that back, so they have a little more cushion, a little more breathing room, and they're not so leveraged as having all the equity in there and kind of none of the cash out. So we will handle everything as far as the property management side, and we basically just offer two kind of options if you are actually onboarding a house. One is a 5% management fee, which is probably the lowest end, and if you join the platform, then it's 15% standard is what we typically do. And so that's Cloud Castles. I did want to give everyone first off a thank you for letting us speak about our passion here of really onboarding great homes and really having cool experiences, and then sharing that with other people for an easy way for folks to get into investing. And if someone would like to try it, please let me know. We just ask that you just give us a 5-star review, and we're happy to give you a share and actual ownership of a Tahoe property. But this is Cloud Castles, and I just want to thank you guys so much for the time, and it's great speaking with you.
Thank you, Brian. That's amazing. What we'll do is, and I know you're on the East Coast, so 9:30, but let's have Max and Ryan do their presentation. We'll come back for more questions. I know there's going to be a ton of questions, so please save up for that. And then Max and Ryan, but Mark, I mean Brian, you did a great job. So thank you. You guys have come a long ways. Ryan, Ryan's here. All right, Max and Ryan. I don't know if you got your cameras on. Let me see. Make you a co-host. All right. Let me see. All right, Max. Hey, so lately, what I've been noticing is people are because we're out of real estate. We're out of these homes that all these people are buying due to COVID, and everybody wants to buy a home. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, because owning a home is a lot of responsibility, but people suddenly want to be homeowners, which is fine. I guess if they can afford it, it's a good thing. But because there's such a scarcity of homes that make sense anymore, a lot of people are now actually experimenting with land, and either just buying land in the path of progress, or buying land for speculation, or just flipping land, right? I've seen a lot of new content and training available for flipping land remotely or in your backyard, doesn't matter. But I've got Max, let me know if you're ready to go, but tell us a little bit about what you and
Ready.
Ryan have built. And I'm really proud of these two kids, that are hustling their side gig. Talk about being so disciplined, and they've built an amazing platform. And but Max, Ryan, it's all yours, brother.
Awesome. Thanks for the introduction, and thanks for having us on, Bobby. We really appreciate it. And then Brian too, that was a great showing and everything. That's an awesome product you have too. So everyone, my name's Max Edson. I have Ryan Doucette on the call too. We're co-founders of our platform called Priced. And so just kind of what Bobby alluded to, we're going to switch gears for a little bit and transition from housing to more on the land side. And so just kind of how he said, there's so much going on in the property market right now that land kind of gets overlooked. And along with that, the tech gets overlooked as well. So what we did was looked at what was going on there and decided that we needed to do something, kind of flip the script and infuse some technology in the land investing business. So that's what we really focus on, and generating leads from starting the process of research, searching for new areas to locate, pricing your offers. So we focus in blind offers or neutral letters, depending on what you want to do. And then we can also scrub data and provide you a ready to send lead list that you can just send right to your mail house to send out. So the whole goal here is to buy land for cheaper than what it's worth and flip it again. Or if you are looking for a house, you can still buy some land for cheaper than what it's worth, right? And so if you're still trying to build a house for the same dollar amount, you're still getting land for cheaper. So I'm gonna dive right into it. I don't have any PowerPoints. I'm gonna dive right into our walkthrough, because it's the most powerful thing we have to kind of show you what our whole platform's about. So this is our website, price.com, PRYCD, and we have land and housing. So we do both, but our main focus and kind of our power and expertise has been with land so far, as we're still trying to build out the housing side. But with land, like I mentioned, we have a whole bunch of different processes that make this quick and effective for you. So right here is on our search page, and this allows you can search either a state, city, or county. In all instances, we're going to return results at the county level for you. So again, what we're trying to do here is build a list that we can send out offers to owners who own properties off market. So Let's say as an example, I can choose Warren County. Let's go with Warren County, Tennessee, for example. I can select that. What I can do besides doing a state, county, or city, I can also open up a polygon search on a map. And so I can fine tune and specifically select certain records on a map if I wanted to get more granular in my approach area, if I wanted to, and go through that way if I really want. So we provide you with a whole bunch of tools and a whole bunch of control of our system. Make sure that you're pinpointing the areas that you want to go to. So we have one county in here. If you open up the advanced search criteria, now what you can do is fine tune this filtering method even further. So you can pick your acreages. If you're looking for infill lots, you can do that. If you're looking for more further out acreages, you can do that too. So as an example, let's just go, let's say we're going to want to search 10 to 50 acres. We can throw that in there. And then one unique part of our system is this acreage increment. And what this does is allows us to break up pricing between this 10 and 50 acre range. So like I mentioned, we can specialize in blind offer pricing. So we are legitimately sending an offer to these owners and allowing people to get an offer from us, and they could sign the agreement right there. And so with that being said, we want to make sure that we can split up these offers on a per acre basis within this range if you want. So we'll default to 5, but you can choose whatever you want. So if I wanted to go 10 acres, then we're going to show you offer prices on a per acre basis between 10 and 20, 20 to 30, 30, 40, and 40 and 50. From there, a lot of the other filters we have are a lot of the owner filters, land use filters, anything that can pinpoint certain owners that you want to target. So no right way how to do it, right? It's all about personal preference or based on data that you get back. But some things that we have, so we have corporate owned filters, in-state, out-of-state filters, owner occupied filters, a whole bunch of different ones that you could pinpoint. I don't want to get held up too much on this, but you can do a whole bunch of different types of filterings that go on here. Get a count of how many owner records that meet this criteria. And once you know that, what you can do, so there's 1,300 that meet this criteria, I can click search, and then on the next page, it's actually going to break out the results for me. So the whole goal of this process is to include everything all in one area. So not only can we do the county searching or the location searching, but we want to show you the comps and then the offer pricing and then the specific ranges that provide you with owner records as well, which is on this page right here. So as we go through this, I can select areas that I want. We'll provide you with comps, counties, location, acreage ranges. We have an offer price per acre that's based on our market price per acre. And you'll notice, again, the offer price per acre, what we usually do with our system and what land investors do is offer 25 cents on a dollar or some percentage on the dollar of what the actual property is worth. So we have this really cool slider bar that you can really easily adjust left or right, and it'll change all the offer prices immediately for you right here. And again, what this is allowing you to do is, let's say you send out 1,000 letters, one comes back, you can get one deal that makes a ton of money and then overcomes the cost to mail out all the letters. Now, how do we get this market price per acre? We've been able to aggregate over 2.3 million comps from sites like Zillow, Realtor.com, Lands of America, and Landflip. And we've aggregated them into our database, and we could parse them out and create thousands of models all at one time to basically come to an estimated market price per acre. So just kind of how, like, if you go to Zillow, they have a Zestimate. If you go to Realtor.com, they have some sort of housing estimate. If you notice, if you go to a land site page or a land picture, they won't have any estimate. So what we've done is created our own based on a whole bunch of modeling and a whole bunch of comps. And so we can do that for you here. And so you can look at the comps, you can see everything in here. Make sure that you're making a good price analysis to send out letters. So all you need to do is select the boxes that you want to move forward with. You'll see your total record costs up top here, your total costs. What we usually do is offer 8 cents per record on download. So that's kind of our going rate right now that we've held for since we launched back in July. And once you're ready, all you need to do, again, is click continue. And as you go through the process, we provide you with a few different files. One of the reasons why we do this is because when you download owner records from a site, a data source, they're usually kind of raw points. And so you want it cleaned up. You usually have to scrub data. It can take hours after the fact. So being on this page is allowing us to clean up the data set and provide you a newly formatted version of it on download. So essentially all you have to do is drag and drop to your mail house and you're all set, ready to go. So just kind of like this, it's a la carte. You can check the ones that you want on this new spreadsheet for the columns, and you can uncheck the ones that you don't want. And I could zoom in here for, so my screen's a little large. But once you're all set with that, you can click continue. And then one of the second to last steps is our post-download custom scrub filters. And what this does is allows you to download the data and clean up the data before you actually receive it. And so you can actually scrub out all these columns because there's certain things that you can't just do on the front end. So we can take out trust owners, we can take out corporate owners, take out blank addresses, non-US addresses. We can clean up this data. It's ready to go. So to maximize all your time, basically make sure that we're doing this all automated. And so you can do this all in one go. Once you're all set, I can select a few. The last page is going to be our download options. Now, the download options, what we have here is we have remove duplicate owners. So if an owner has 10 properties, we can remove 9 of those properties and just mail out to one of the properties so that owner only gets one letter. And so you're saving up mail costs and still targeting that one owner. Or what we have is this new geo pricing that we just released. So we provide you with 3 different levels of pricing to send out offers on. So we have a county level pricing if you want to just basically blanket mail an entire county at the same offer price on a per acre basis, or in a per acre range on specific cities at a time. And then our new geo pricing, what we actually can do now is base every single owner record and price it specifically based on the nearby for sale and sold comps around it. So it's at the most granular level possible. And again, we're estimating the values and creating offer prices against it. So when you do send out letters and offer prices at 25 cents on the dollar, it truly is that amount. So you can be effective at that approach and maximize your results when you get those letters back. And so all you have to do is select that and on download it. It works like that. The other option we do have is generate campaign map. And what this does is it takes your leads that you just downloaded with us and it can plot them on a Google Earth map. So we'll provide you with a KML file that's compatible with Google Earth, and it'll literally plot them on a Google Earth map. And so you can see your owner records, comps nearby. So I want to kind of give a quick example of what this actually looks like. So if I downloaded one of the KML files and then I open that up in, if I open that up in Google Earth, this is essentially what it's going to look like. So it'll open up Google Earth, and then you'll notice that all the green pins on the map are going to be the leads that you just downloaded from us. So we auto-populate them on Google Earth for you. And then the red pins are going to be for sale comps, and then the yellow pins are going to be sold comps. And again, these comps are coming from sites like Zillow, Lands of America, Realtor, and Landflip. So when you get some lead back, now what you can do is come through here, and you could actually, yeah.
Max, you want to slow down? I think it's lagging a little bit. So the map's still loading it for a second.
Yeah. It's still.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
You're fine. It's just a little laggy. Just want to call that out.
Yep. Thank you. I appreciate it. Sometimes when I load this, it does get laggy. So please let me know if it does.
Yeah, there you go. The map just loaded.
Yeah.
And I'll try not to move the screen so it stays on one area. But this is what the campaign map does. So now when you get leads back, again, all you have to do is search that lead by APN, and we could hone in on one of those properties, and it'll zoom right into it. So not only can you see the property with a 3D image, but you can see the for sale and sold comps around it. And the whole goal of this is so you're making effective decisions when you get leads back. Is your offer price good? Is it in the right ballpark? Do you need to basically go back to them and say, and negotiate the price, and is everything looking right, so you can make an effective decision. And this is one step closer to what we want to do to map out everything, to give you all the tools that we can to make those quick decisions. So this is kind of the process. Again, on download, we'll provide you a file. This can be attached to it. If other than that, though, we'll provide you with 5 other files usually. One of them's the raw data output. And then besides that, I'm going to get out of Google Earth right now so it stops lagging, hopefully. Other than that, though, we'll provide you with the raw data tree export file. And what this really does is it just gives you the data right from data tree. We are data tree license providers where we get our data source from. And it has 232 lines of data, kind of unformatted, all over the place. But the real one is the scrub data format, which is the cleaned up version that we provide you. And is the real power data sheet that we give you so you can send right to your mail house. And again, it's cleaned up. It has the headers right with it. It has the prices attached to it. So you can see every single property has an offer price specifically to it. And you can look at it and again, mail it out directly to the owners in here. So you can see column here, each specific property has its owner price. In this example, we have it priced at the county level, but it's your decision. You could choose any sort of pricing level in here that you want. But this is where we leave it again, where we download the data. You can use any mail house you want to send out the letters. And then what we really wanted to focus on here is, okay, we have the letters out. When we get them back, we have the campaign map tool, but we also wanted to focus on ways to really dive into the reporting. So not only you can get a good warm and fuzzy that you're buying a good property, you can look at the for sale and sold comps around it. How can we really estimate a market value in that area? And then also, if you're bringing on investors, if you want to show any other people, how can we provide a good PDF file that kind of persuades that other person that this is a good property too? So what we've been working on and what we just released is our newest comp reporting tool. And what it does is just that. It allows you to plug in an APN. It allows you to plug in a state, a county, and it'll give you generate a comp report that essentially is a PDF file of property information. It'll give you a market price analysis and then a breakdown of comps. Along with that, we'll give you a KML file again that kind of outlines the border of the property that you're specifically looking at, and then the nearby for sale and sold comps around it as well. So I'm going to click on a sample report just so you can see this. And this is what happens, again, if you typed in a state, county, and an APN, this is what would come up. And again, this is focused specifically on land, which a lot of places don't have because they don't have the information, which we've aggregated. So you'll get a quick picture of the property, some general information up top, and then we'll break it down into property details, public records, locations. We'll give you a pricing analysis as well. So we'll give you it at the county level that we have, the city pricing level, and then we also have our geo pricing level. Now, we do give you a data tree estimated value, but essentially just like how the Zestimates don't have values, same thing with data tree. They usually don't have them for vacant rural land. So we just kind of leave that blank unless they do have it here. But with that, this is when we start getting into our comp overview and our comp breakdown. So we'll provide you the comps around the area, the count, the average price per acre, the average dollar, the average acreage, and the average distance. So we want to get as granular as possible and make sure that you're aware of everything that's going on in this area. So not only will we give you those data points, but we'll break it down by comp type as well. So you can see that we'll give you all comps, sold comps, for sale comps, and then we'll break it down by actual listing site too. So Lands of America off market, Zillow, Lands of America, Realtor.com. And so you could see all the different averages and make informed decisions based on that. Maybe one's way higher, maybe one's way lower. So you can see that visually on this report here. From there, we'll also give you a breakdown of for sale comps. So again, the acreage, the price, the distance, the city, the county, and the source. And if it has a list or sold date, we'll also provide that too. So this has a lot of for sale. And then if there's sold comps in the area, we'll do that too. What's really great about this, if you want to check on the comp, you can actually click one of these links and it'll bring you right to the source itself. So you can visually see it on the listing site too. So this is Zillow right here. You can see it and make sure that's comparable to the property that you're looking at. So that's one of the great tools that we have with it. The other thing is the KML file that I mentioned that we also provide you. So like I mentioned, this will give you the property boundaries of the actual property and then the nearby for sale and sold comps. So if I pulled up Google Earth again, and I'll let this load, hopefully I don't, Ryan, let me know if I lag too much on here. So if I load this into Google Earth now, what you're going to see again, there's going to be one green pin with the boundaries highlighted, that's going to be the property that we're looking at. And then as I zoom out, these are going to be all the comps around it that I can analyze quickly on a map too. So again, I can click on all the pins here. If I clicked on a for sale pin, I can see that what the acreage is. I can see what the price is. I can see the status. I can see the source and then the city. And just like on the PDF file, if I click the source link, it'll take me right to the actual listing source as well. So I can visually see it and what it looked like when it was listed too, or if it is listed. So again, what we're trying to do is bring this to the forefront, bring technology into the land space, which usually isn't here. As far as we're aware, there's not as much in-depth analysis as far as land investing and an actual property analysis goes. And that's what we want to do, is bring as much information as possible into this so you can make informed decisions, making sure that you're buying at the right price. If you're trying to invest in it or flip it, that you're below market value so you can do that quick turnaround. And again, you can do these reports over and over again. But that's really what price is about, bringing this all the way quickly through the process. So minimizing your time so you can focus in buying and actually transacting real estate instead. Ryan, I'll turn it over to you if I missed anything. But I know I went through a lot of information. I'm happy to take questions on everything too.
No, I think that's smart. Let's just save it for questions, because I think there was a couple spots you were lagging, and it might have been a little confusing. So we'll see what other people heard. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, we can
good job,
definitely
Max.
open it up for Q&A. But a little bit about, tell them a little bit about your pricing model.
Like our cost for the website.
To pull down the data, and then of course the mailer houses, that's a separate cost. But how are a lot of people using your platform where they've had some success? And then secondly, what does it cost to pull the data from your website?
So our base pricing is going to be $25 a month, and that's going to get you access to the site. And that'll get you access to the research page, which Max didn't show, but it has a lot of cool data analytics about each county. It'll get you access to the searching page. It'll allow you to export all of our export. Yeah, thank you, Max. If you go to the, actually, can you go to the plans and pricing, Max? And then, so for all the plans, you'll be able to download owner records at 8 cents a record. And then you can actually upload owner records. So if you have another data source, you can upload to our site for 3 cents a record and get our pricing attached to each property. You can see the plans there. The biggest difference between the bronze and the two on the right are going to be the polygon drawing tool, which is Max showed earlier. You can actually draw around specific areas. And then the other one is our export of comps. And so what you can do is on that comp pop-up, you can export those into a data Excel file and then do some further analysis. A lot of people like to do, their own pricing perhaps, and then modify the pricing that we're giving to them. And then I think the other question was, where are people, finding success? We've seen a lot of people do really well on just the general export. Our comp reporting is fairly new, so we're still trying to get feedback about how that benefits their business. But what we've seen traditionally is, if you're not familiar with this space, is about a 0.1% return rate or success rate. So for every 1,000 letters sent, we're seeing about one deal get turned around. We do have a profit forecasting tool that kind of can model that out. But yeah, we've seen a lot of success lately. And what we've heard the most is not so much that we've improved that rate of success, but that we've expedited the process to make that happen. And that's really what our goal is. So if you're someone that, for every 2,000 blind offers you send out, you get a deal. Our goal is to keep it at that level, but for you to spend, 1/10 of the amount of time pulling your data, organizing your data, finding comps on Zillow and Realtor that are comparable to find an accurate price to send the blind offer. And now we're starting to try and move into the due diligence space with our comp reporting, so that you can spend less time when you get calls back from the owner to say, hey, what are the comparables in this specific region? What's the pricing? Did I offer too much? Or if you didn't use our service, what should I offer if I did a neutral letter? What's a fair market value? And trying to, expedite that whole process so you can really just focus on the real estate and less on, having 15, 20 tabs open with Zillow, and then trying to, Google how to do Excel, VLOOKUP tables and all that kind of fun stuff. So trying to get rid of all that manual process.
And I can add one more thing too. What's great about our system is that it's easy enough for a beginner to use and robust enough for a professional, like, expert land investor to use. That's what we've seen. We have a huge spectrum of land investors that are currently using our product.
Very nice. All right, beautiful. All right, we got questions coming in for both Brian and let me see. Brian, I'm gonna make you a co-host again. Sorry. Okay. So a lot of questions. I think one question that came in earlier for Brian. This is from Stephanie. How do you find your suppliers, cleaning crew, handyman? How much of percentage on monthly expenses should be expected for cleaning and handyman services?
Great question. So we had to use just some good old fashioned Googling to find our maid service and our handyman. One was recommended, I think, by just someone in the neighborhood that we knew. So I think there's gonna be a few. You probably get, there's probably at least like Yelp is a good place to start out with. And then cost, I can tell you, I mean, how much we charge. I mean, we actually do pay a ton. I think to date we've paid 10,000 for the last 3 months, 10,000 in cleaning costs. It's quite a bit of money, actually. So if I ever wanted to do a side gig as a cleaner, that might be the place to start. But we spent around 10,000. So it's a 3-bedroom house. I think it depends on bookings. What's your minimum booking, right? So if you're trying to optimize for revenue, then you probably want your minimum booking to be actually kind of small, or like, because it's like, or at least 2 days. But some people, I know some folks in the space do a week, some do a month. So your cleaning crew costs are going to be related to that. And then I think we sit around like 15% of the revenue out the gate, just to put in a rainy day fund. Actually, we haven't really spent any of the money except for maid service, but I think we put around a few $1,000 in the handyman service just in case. And that's kind of just whatever they want to fix. Just also people will leave a bad review if there's like a big hole in the wall or something, or something doesn't look right. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, no, it does. Yeah, so cleaning costs can vary depending on the duration. Now, Brian, the $10,000, how much you charge your guests a cleaning fee, right? So how much of that is offset by the cleaning fees that are recovered from the guests?
Oh yeah, that's a great point. So yeah, we don't pay any of that. The guest pays that as well. So it is. But if you did it yourself, you could keep that money. I think, yeah, as I mentioned, I think it's like around 220 a cleaning, and we charge around 250 or something. So we kind of technically make a little bit of money on each cleaning. That's a good point. Also, taxes are also paid by the consumer. So we're not paying, or I think we also pay some taxes, but upfront it pays some taxes as well.
Yeah. And when somebody buys a share or a piece of your Airbnb property, and I'm sure down the road you'll be adding other properties to your platform, they get cash flow, they get appreciation, right? So okay. And is there a loan on the property, or it's free and clear?
No, there's a loan on the property. So I mean, that's kind of where the money goes first. The Airbnb money goes. And so we're actually, the model is, right, like the big question is, okay, well, what happens if you don't make your money? And we basically just thankfully we just try to be very selective on which houses we choose, right? So I've already seen 15 properties in Miami and I haven't made a move yet. And I put 2 offers in and I backed out of both of them because there's just little things weren't right, so we're a little gun shy. So we try to really have cream of the crop, especially at this stage of our business.
Yeah.
But yeah, we actually don't want people to ever have to fork over money if the Airbnb does bad. We kind of just like, that's our responsibility. That's our business. That was really
Okay. All right. So we got a bunch of questions. Let's see here. Let's go to Carolyn. Where I want to invest, zoning is a big deal. So Max or Ryan, can you filter on zoning?
Yeah, you can filter on zoning. So just how I mentioned, we have we're a data tree licensed provider. We have access to any of their filters, and they have a ton of them. And zoning is one of them. So we definitely have zoning in there.
Okay.
And you just plug in the zoning code. So again, it's different per area that you're in. So you just have to know the zoning code, and you have to plug it into the field on the search page that I showed.
Perfect. Perfect. Question for Brian. Would you help me find, purchase, renovate, and manage a vacation rental in Tahoe? I think he loves your vacation rental. Based on your data and cash flow metrics. I'll list the property on your platform after the rehab. So, he
Yeah,
wants a turnkey solution.
yeah, no, let's connect. I mean, that's actually what the next step of this business is, potentially, reaching out to folks and be like, hey, do you want a second home? Like, we will manage it. And so one of our folks that we're onboarding in Tampa is, scenario is she lives on the Atlantic side. Her new baby grandson lives on the Tampa on the Gulf side. And so ideally she doesn't want to drive 2 hours to go see her family and have a property nearby her daughter, right? But it's a little bit tougher. And then also, older, doesn't necessarily want to manage it and would like that income. So what we're basically doing is coming in, and we're basically essentially supporting their vacation rental experience to make sure that they're going to get their return, make sure they're going to get their cash back quicker because they're going to share some of it on our platform, and then have it managed and by some folks who can manage it fairly well. So yes, absolutely. Let's connect. I think I have my email in there.
Okay.
Or feel free to send me an email. I'll reach out.
Okay. Question for Max. Do you offer in your platform any land owners that are behind on taxes?
So that's a great question. So like kind of like a tax delinquency filter. We definitely do have that. Now, with that in mind, the filter that we do have from DataTree is not necessarily one that we feel too confident in, and we're working with them to get better. But the reason for that, when you start getting into the vacant land space, they don't really kind of keep that up to date as much, and they only check it ever so often. And so what happens is their coverage is not too much over the entire United States. And so a lot of the times when you use the tax delinquency filter, right now it's going to return 0 when that's not the case. So we're working with them to make sure that's better. We do have it. Their coverage is just lacking right now.
And I'll add, I don't know if this was mentioned during the presentation, Max, but our data comes from First American Title, DataTree. So all of that owner information and property information, we're pulling it directly from them in real time when you do the exports through our site. What we aggregate is the comps from the listing services into our database, but we don't maintain the owner information. That's totally from First American.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. Question for Brian. What is the expected discount on a property rental that I own, let's say 25% equity in? What is the structure for the discount so I know what to expect?
Yeah, it's a great question. So basically, if I understand the question correctly, it's how much of the Tahoe house do you get to stay in? What's the discount? Let's see the discount there. And that's the funnest part about owning a vacation home. In all reality, money is nice, but it's also just great to vacation there. So it's depends on if you own 25% of the home, and it depends on kind of the model we have right now is basically every day that you stay in a vacation home is a day that potentially could make money. So there's basically all the other investors have to be made whole in some way. So it depends on how many other investors are in the
pot. Yeah.
Exactly. So it depends on how many and what's their equity stake. So if you own 25%, then I think it's reasonable, and let's just say that 75% was owned by the other investors. It could be owned by the mortgage, and that's a different case. But if it's owned, 75% is owned by everyone else, then it's safe to assume we could get you about a 50% stay on your on the discount. And the reason why I come up with the number is because basically, since you're technically an owner, we don't actually have to pay taxes on it, and we don't actually have to pay Airbnb on it. So you can basically stay there without those costs, which are around 25% of the stay. And then also you own 25% of the pot. So you basically can't get that cut out. So it really comes down to 50. And right now we're so small, that we're just saying, hey, like, do you want to stay there? Yeah, we'll make it work. And so we have investors who, put a few thousand down. We give them a good stay when they want to, go in the ski season. We kind of make it up right now just because we're, just happy to be working with folks. And so if people want to stay at the property, we're more than happy, especially larger investors too. We had some folks, I had a buddy basically put in 10K. And so, we'll make some time for him, this year and next season for him to stay there.
Plus, I heard you're going to make him clean the property before they leave as well. Is that right?
Yeah. We send him, you got to send them some paper towels, and they're on their hands and knees with the Windex.
All right. Let's see here. For Max and Ryan, does land pricing integrate with local city, municipality, building code, planners, etc.? For example, Mojave Desert refused to extend water utilities to new subdivisions. No private underground well viable, so a lot of investors lost money and all that. So, are you like? Is that sort of not in your wheelhouse? Like, that's something that the investor probably needs to research on their own. But I'm just curious, like, what kind of data can you provide to them?
Yeah, that's correct. So eventually our goal is with our comp reporting tool is to provide information like that. Like I mentioned, DataTree has a lot of cool reporting features that we want to integrate into our service. But for right now, our main goal is to send out these blind offers as almost like a blanket letter looking for motivated sellers. And then if you do find people that call or respond interested in selling, that's when we would say you need to do the due diligence on the property to make sure that it meets the requirements of you as an investor. And so, but the goal being is if I send out letters to 1,000 folks, I get 50 responses. I only have to do the research on maybe those 50 or 40 or 30 properties versus 1,000 properties.
Yep.
And then like I mentioned, as we move forward with our comp reporting, our hope is that we can make that even easier. And it's just a quick pull for that kind of information.
Yep. Makes sense. Okay. Question for Brian. I'm glad these guys, we're bouncing between the teams. All right, beautiful. Brian, is there a minimum share investment on a Tahoe property? What's the monthly payout on, say, 100 shares?
Yeah, great question. There's the one share is the minimum. That's, we just want to make it super easy. And honestly, what we see is folks will buy one and then we'll turn back around and buy, 100 more. So it's been great to see, and you do get paid out. So it's almost like kind of like the anti-bill. It's kind of fun because, let's say you put in 100 shares, so that's $1,500. So it depends month to month because it's very seasonal. But January, you would have gotten paid, I think around maybe close to, let's see, I got to check the numbers actually. I think it would have been close to, I think we paid out around 8K. So, and you get with 100 shares, you're going to get you're going to get 1%. So it's going to $80 if you put in $1,500. So $80 a month, that's what you would get in January. And then maybe for the year, you probably get, we try to make about a 20% return on average. So hopefully you're getting around somewhere in the vicinity of like 15 or 350 a year. So it's not crazy money. It's not going to be crypto, maybe $300 a year. So it's not going to be like crypto levels exchange, but it's going to be a safe place to park your money. And then the ideal state is where you do use the house as well. And so that's kind of what we want. We do want folks to use the house. We're just trying to find the right system to get everyone a fair amount of time in the house.
Beautiful. Question. Beautiful. Thank you, Brian. Folks, instead of buying that extra venti latte at Starbucks for a couple of weeks, you can save up and buy a share in Cloud Castles. Not that difficult. All right, let's see here. Starbucks. Sorry. Uh, oh, okay. One question for Max. The land sale sits for a long time on the market. Do you have any metrics on how quickly? Uh, so I think what they're looking for is like a heat map of where there's a lot of activity on land exchanges, buys and sells versus land like in certain areas it's not going to move a lot versus areas that it's going to move a lot. And do you provide any such data?
Yeah, that's a great question. So that's what our research page is all about. So I'm going to share my screen real quick if that's all right again. So this is our research page. I didn't go over it in the walkthrough, but this is a really crucial page that you can use to really hone in on those areas that may have more activity than others, and kind of break down the supply and demand areas as well. So we offered in two different forms where you can do a whole nationwide search, you can do a state search or a county search, but you can look at the data in a table format, or you can also look at it visually on a map down below, which I believe that's what you're kind of looking at for kind of like a heat map. And from here, we have a whole bunch of different metrics you can do. So we have these metrics, sold to for sale ratio, that kind of measures how much property is being sold versus how much is actually being listed. So a higher number means that there's more activity. We have where you can just track total sold comps. You can do this thing called a metric called the parcels on market ratio that actually tracks how much property is currently listed on the market. So when you start pairing these data metrics together, now you could start finding effective areas to mail where there's high demand, not much property on the market. So you're putting the favor or the odds in your favor when you're selecting an area to mail. Along with that, what we can do is we also just integrate with realtor.com at the bottom. So this is the only thing that's going to have housing and land data in here, but you can go and just look at quickly days on market data. So you can find areas days on market right here too. So if I wanted California, obviously the deeper red is going to be the low days on market areas. So I can look at here, I can look at our heat maps up above that kind of give you effective tools to hone into specific areas. And there's so much you can do on this page too, as in regards to filtering methods and honing into different areas. But just kind of as a quick example, if I moved one of these areas, let's say I did sold for sale ratio, let's say I moved it to 0.5 and clicked enter. What's going to happen on this map? It's just going to filter everything out that doesn't meet my criteria. So when I do this, then you're going to see everything that's kind of still highlighted that meets the criteria that I use. So you can see filtered everything out. All these counties still meet what I want to look at. So it's a great tool to use and use it and pair it with other metrics.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. So look at the research page there. That's amazing. Okay. Thank you, Wendy. Beautiful. Yeah. Let me see. Drew has a question. Drew, reach out to me and I'll connect you with Brian. I think you guys probably need to connect on that front. John has an interesting question for Brian. Is there a market to resell Cloud Castle's shares if I were to invest in different states, for example?
Yeah, so the whole point is it's supposed to be marketplace. Right now we're only in California, but we're trying to onboard Miami right here. So I'm in Miami right now, and really what it is, it's meant to be. We're not trying to make a ton of money from onboarding the houses. We're actually trying to make the money is from the transaction of the buying and selling of shares. So the next part of the product is going to be when you can actually place a bid for someone's Cloud Castle, and like let's say the Tahoe property is on there. And you say, you know what, I think it's worth, $14 for the share. I'm going to put in a bid there. Then it's going to ping all the people in the network who own that and say, okay, well, does anyone want this? This is a bid in real time. And so you'll kind of be buying and trading little portions of the house, and then we'll make a small transaction transaction portion there. But right now, we're really looking to scale to, we want to do 10 houses this year. And then in 2022, we want to do 100 houses. And then 2023, we want to do 1,000 houses. That's the plan. So we'll see. I'll see if we get there. We'd love to work with anyone here who's interested in onboarding a house there. That's where actually the most of the perks are when you onboard your own house, because you do get your cash back and then you get a managed property for you. So hopefully that answered the question, but right now we're just in California.
And I want to point out that Brian, Jimmy, and the rest of the gang are working so that if you do invest in cloud castles, we hope that your returns and so on will, of course, they'll be available on Cloud Castle's app or website, but they'll also be integrated with bettercapital.us. So you'll be able to log into our dashboard and see your returns and so on and so forth. But a secondary market, Brian, sounds really interesting. And so with both Cloud Castles and Price, we like these ideas. We love these ideas. We've built a platform for real estate investors to track their assets. So we don't care where the assets are owned, whether it's land, whether it's Airbnbs or fractional Airbnbs. You can track everything within bettercapital.us. So I just want to give you a quick update on that. But this is where, for example, I track all my loans, my rentals. I'll just go into one of my rentals here, and we're fully integrated with the banks, and you can see the performance. You can see all the transactions, all the reports. You can store all your documents in one place. You can have all your contacts in one place. So anyway, this is kind of what we've been working on. Give me 1 second. Where is my? Oh, can you see my screen or no?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Oh, you can. Okay. Let me see. 1 second.